Yeah.
While the U.S. makes up around 4.4% of the world's population, it also makes up 22% of the entire world's incarceration rate, at around 2,207 per 100,000 of the national population. This number is even more baffling when we look at a statistic provided by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, stating that black citizens made up for 34% of the total 6.8 million correctional population in 2014. Looking at these statistics and seeing the day-to-day injustices that the black community has to endure has spurred my eagerness to research this topic and try to understand their situation from an outsider's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to inform you all about the contributing factors that lead to the high incarceration rates of black citizens in the United States, I will talk about stereotypes and the conditions of communities. To begin, I will start by addressing the prevalence of stereotypes in society and the way it skews the image of someone who is black and the effects it can have. Stereotypes play an unconscious role in political and policy decisions. You might have heard some that maybe black people are better at playing basketball than white people, or that they do drugs or cause increased rates of crime, but this is just not true. This creates a pre-existing condition in people's minds, which can lead to unfair decisions, like in court. To quote a case in 1955 that is notorious is the Emmett Till case, in which a 14-year-old boy was tortured and brutally murdered, and his body was tied in barbed wire and thrown into the river. And after the trial was over, which the jury only deliberated for about an hour, the two murderers were actually found completely not guilty, even though all the evidence was there. And this is because Emmett Till apparently whistled at a white woman. But new evidence has come up. Apparently he didn't whistle at the woman. So who knows what really happened, but in the end, justice was not served. And because he was black, they did not give him the justice. Stereotypes can cast a negative image on the black community, and the outliers and deviants seem to get the most attention, but realistically, there's tons of hardworking black citizens and students just like us. The emergence of rap music in black society acted as a way to empower the black community, but has also strained relations with the police in some ways. For example, the song Fuck the Police by NWA. Now, as a police officer, how can you look at songs like this and create a relationship with the black community when tons of young black teens and white teens are all listening to this anti-establishment music? So this stereotype involving the hip-hop community also creates tension between police officers and black citizens. According to the NAACP, in 2002, blacks constituted more than 80% of the people sentenced under the federal crack cocaine laws and served substantially more time in prison for drug offenses than did whites, despite the fact that more than 2/3 of crack cocaine users in the U.S. are white or Hispanic, which goes to show that when determining punishments and how people will be charged, race may unconsciously play a role, whether or not we truly believe it does. Now, in order to understand the reality of many people's lives, I will talk about the conditions of the communities and how that affects day-to-day life and also increases the incarceration rate. Many communities with a high concentration of black people have a high rate of poverty as well, which also leads to a low level of education. This increases the amount of problems within their society and the amount of crime, because when you can't afford in your day-to-day job working at, let's say, Popeyes or McDonald's, you have to find a way to bring food to the table for your family. So you may turn to selling drugs, and you may have the best intentions in mind. But in these areas that have a high crime rate and a lot of gang violence, there's often an increased police presence. And this increased police presence comes with also increased police anxiety, because they feel as if they have to there's more stuff that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, so they have to take more precautions when dealing with some of these people. The education system in these communities isn't ideal, so you'll often hear the term about getting out of the hood, and it's just very hard for many people. For us, it may be easier. We're blessed to go to LMU and have this private school education, but for many people in the world, this is not a reality, to go to college. And so again, they may turn to gangs or crime to maybe find something to be a part of or to just make some money to get by. According to the State of Working America, in 2010, 45.8% of young black children under the age of 6 lived in poverty, compared to 14.5% of white children. Growing up, how can you function in society and be a normal child when you're constantly wondering, where are we going to live next? What are we going to eat? Am I going to get hurt? Is my family okay? And in these areas, you can also notice there's a high rate of police brutality and discrimination. Again, going back to the precaution. But could it be that also this police brutality is stemmed from underlying racism embedded in the systematic union of the police force? But these instances of police brutality, especially the ones that get a lot of attention, create great distrust between the police and black people, thereby straining relations even further. Mm-hmm. People are less likely to comply with officers' orders when they're afraid for their life. I know I would be as well. Now, I will start by wrapping up this informative presentation about the high incarceration rate of black citizens in the United States. We discussed how stereotypes and the conditions of the communities are key factors in the high incarceration rate of black people. Stereotypes lead to a warped image of the black community, leading to unfair decisions, while poor conditions in some communities lead to an increased crime rate and high police presence. In order to lower the incarceration rate, we must be conscious of these different factors and try our best to improve. By doing so, we can potentially improve the lives of those in the black community and decrease the amount of potentially unnecessary incarcerations. No matter what race you are, we are all human in the end of the day, and it's not fair to each other to turn a blind eye to these kinds of issues. Thank you.
Okay, Leo, cruise on down, get yourself set up. Awesome job, William. Hi. Are you going in this first part or the second part?
I went second, but if you want to put me in the first, it's fine.
Oh, we'll see where we get to with Leo. Take a breath, see how you feel. Try to warm your body since it's so freaking cold.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh, we just can't warm up.